Alright guys, welcome back to Elden Ring. In this episode we're going to be tackling Ranni's questline. Now I did farm for my last whip, which is the Thorn Whip, and I got two of them from the mountaintops of the giants. Now to farm this whip, you can't go to a grace and continuously farm, you have to kill yourself. So I have to use a Runemark now because I constantly killed myself while farming for that whip. So that's why I had to use a Runemark there. Now we need to go to the Twin Maiden Husks to purchase a Ghost Glovewort 2. Currently we do not have one, and we want to upgrade a particular Spirit Ash to plus 10 by the end of this episode. We'll have it maxed out. It's going to be our first Spirit Ash that we max out. But we're going to go ahead and get this Spirit Ash to plus 4 because we already have enough to get it to 4. And our Spirit Ash is Lutenna. Lutenna is one of the best Spirit Ashes in this game, and by the end of this episode, you'll see why. Now, because we're all about making things as easy as possible in this walkthrough, we need to get a particular recipe before going any further. So we need to go back to Linery of the Lakes, and we need to go right here. This is a tower that houses a particular recipe that we're definitely going to need. I'm going to go ahead and start leveling up my Glintstone Chris. I'm going to max this out eventually. I'm going to get it to 7 here. It's just too useful of a weapon. And now we're going to go back to Linery of the Lakes, like I said. Now let's go ahead and prep for this. We don't really have to do much. You could just run in and get it, but like I said before, I'm all about strategy. So let's go ahead and do what we need to do to get this safely. I'm just going to show off the full moon crossbow that we got in the last episode. You can use whatever crossbow you want, but we're also going to use the jar cannon here coming up to snipe a very annoying sorcerer that's going to make our lives miserable unless we get rid of him. We're also going to use the giant's red braid, and we're going to use the concealing veil to snipe the enemies easily without them coming to charge at us. Now let's go ahead and take care of this annoying sorcerer. The easiest way to take him out is to come over here. You'll have a clear shot from this position over here. If you go into the camp, he's going to start sniping you immediately. But if you come over here, you can get a clear shot and just get rid of him now. He does a lot of damage to you with his spells, so just snipe him and be done with him. Now we're just going to go stealth mode. I really like the reload animation for this full moon crossbow. It's what makes it unique, but it's also really cool looking. It benefits more from meteor bolts, which we do not have right now. You can see they don't really know where we are, but we can just start sniping them. This is just pretty much cannon fodder right now. Like I said, you could just run in and kill everybody if you want to. That chime is so satisfying. I love it. Now we're going to get our giant's red braid out and just use the flame dance to kill all these enemies at once that just spawn right here. And there's going to be some behind us. We'll just do it again. Now to get what we came for. We're actually going to get a staff too, a magical staff, because we don't have one yet, and we're going to be using it in this episode. Sorcery for the first time. It's just to use the Terra Magica spell, which is going to increase the damage of the Glintstone Chris. That is the cookbook that we needed. This cookbook will make a particular boss fight later on trivial, so that's why we had to pick it up. I don't even know how to kill this boss without it, to be honest. I guess you would have to do a lot of damage. But we'll use this staff that we get here. We might as well. Now we need to go back to Nokron. This is the first step in Ranni's quest we need to do. We need to get the Finger Slayer Blade. Now we're going to go ahead and start prepping for the road ahead. Let's go ahead and first mix in the lightning tier along with our magic tier. We're going to need lightning damage pretty soon. It's going to help a lot. So we're going to put on our lightning talisman, and also we're going to craft some lightning pots. We're going to need the jar cannon, the Mesericord, and the glintstone kris, and the jellyfish shield, because we are going to be using pots. The lightning pots. This is what your setup needs to look like before going into Nokron. Now bear in mind, we have already finished Sullivan's quest line and obtained the magic scorpion talisman. If you haven't got that talisman yet, do not continue. You need to do Sullivan's quest before getting the Fingerslayer blade and speaking to Ranni. If you do that before getting that scorpion charm, the magic scorpion charm, you will not be able to get it until the New Game Plus. So that's why we went ahead and knocked that out in the last episode. Upon completing Ranni's quest, you'll also complete 2 other NPC quests along the way. Blide's quest will come to an end, and so will E.G. So by the time we finish Ranni's quest, those 2 NPC quest lines can be complete as well. We just want to head in this direction. We're just staying to the left because we don't want to aggro anybody on the right there. And the grace that we're looking for is on the left anyway, so this is the easiest way to get there safely. Do a good jump here. Now this first part is tricky. It's very tricky, but if you do it exactly like I do here, you shouldn't have the mimic spawn into a humanoid. That's what you don't want. You don't want these mimics to spawn into a humanoid. So jump over here very quickly. You can't waste time. Lock on and shoot. If you do this quickly enough, that mimic will not spawn into a humanoid, because the humanoids are very annoying to deal with. But if you can shoot them in that form, it's much easier. Now we're going to switch up a little bit. We're going to go with our jar setup. So we need the axe talisman. We're also going to get our magic talisman out. Now we're going to get this rune arc up here. Try not to fall off of this structure here. I have fallen off so many times. You have to do a good running jump here. Don't just do a walking jump or you won't make it. Now this next wet blade that we're going to get is very useful because it will allow us to use blood and poison affinities on our weapons. So what we could do is just take it and put it on the Antspur rapier that already does rot damage, and you can make it do bleed as well. So you can do this in a variety of different ways, but that's just one example. If you have a weapon that does something innately, as long as it's not a somber weapon, you can do that. Now we're going to get the Mesericord out because we're going to do a backstab here and we want to kill this guy instantly. You'll need a stone sword key to get in this room, but this room houses what is widely regarded as the best spirit summon in the game, and there's no question about it, the Mimic tier. We're not going to level it up just yet, though. We're going to do Latenna first, as like I said. I don't even think we can use the Mimic tier, to be honest, because our health is so low. And I think you have to have a certain amount of health to use it, because it doesn't use focus points, it uses your health. And I don't think we have 12 vigor by default. We're going to buff here because this is where we're going to use our lightning pots. It's only going to take 2 throws with all these buffs to take out this ball down here. The ball is weak to lightning, so we're just going to throw a couple of pots and it should go away. Done. We can just finish off this wandering Nox down here with our magic. And that's it. The room is clear. I think there is one more guy, actually. I think he actually follows me out. The only thing that we need for the next section is the glintstone crisp, but I'm getting my whips ready for the next section that we do after this. We're going to be going back to Carian Manor, so we'll need the whips for that. I do believe I heard footsteps, and there was a guy following me. But there's a grace over here to the left. You can despawn him if you'd like, but I'm not sitting at this particular grace. And there he is. Yes, he was following me. Now, the trick to these mimics are just stay back. You don't want them to spawn into the humanoid form, so as long as you stay back, they won't spawn, and you don't have to deal with the giant that spawns at the end either. As long as you keep your distance, that's what the glintstone crisp is useful for. We can kill every one of these with one charged attack. The closer you get, though, the more likely they're going to spawn into their humanoid forms, and you just don't want to deal with that. So, easiest way to do it. And this one right here will spawn into a giant, so you definitely don't want to deal with that. And that's it. Area clear, and we can get the Finger Slayer Blade. We'll also get a Ghost Glovewort that is the maximum form. I think it's the Great Ghost Glovewort. We'll use this on Latenna later on. Now, just to demonstrate, as long as you don't talk to Ranni after getting this, you can still do Sullivan's quest and interact with NPCs, and that's what I'm going to show you guys now. There is another NPC that I didn't show you guys last time, and before I give Ranni the Finger Slayer Blade, I'm going to interact with him so you won't miss it. Also, we're going to be coming back anyway after he dies to get his bell bearing. But you want to take this route right here, take a right, and there'll be a path right here. And we're just going to jump down. We're going for a cracked pot right here, and not much else. We'll just spawn back to the grace after we get the cracked pot. But I figured it, since I was here, I might as well get it. We want to max out our cracked pots eventually. But the whip will just make short work of all these pots, because the whip does strike damage, and the pots are always weak to strike damage. So anything that does strike damage will work. And there's your cracked pot. But you notice we cannot spawn back to the grace because we can't use our map, because there's too many enemies about that are aggroed. All these pots need to go. Now we'll go back to the grace and Ranni's Rise. No, actually no, because we don't want to kill the NPC yet. So you want to go back to the Royal Moon Grounds here, and then go like you were going back into the Three Sisters, but take a left. And you'll find a cliff edge, and you'll just need to drop off of that. We're not going to fully explore this area right now. We'll do that later. We're just here to interact with the NPC before he dies. This is also another way you can get the option to get into Sullivan's puppet shop if you didn't want to quit out multiple times. Once you give the Finger Slayer Blade to Ranni, his puppets will turn on him and kill him. Right now, they're just dormant. But he does have a ritual pot, and we need to start loading up on these because this is going to be useful very much for us. In fact, we're going to be using one in this episode. The recipe that we got from Liurnia of the Lakes is going to take a ritual pot in order to use. So, very useful item that we're going to need to stockpile. Now to Ranni's Rise. We're going to go ahead and give her the Fingerslayer Blade, and then go back to meet that NPC that we just met, and he'll be dead. Along with Sullivus, and we'll go ahead and get his bell bearings done as well.
Not blood. Even in my, it is in thy my thanks soon. Take it.
Once you have the inverted statue, we can continue on to the next step of her quest.
What is thy?
But before doing that, like I said, we're going to pay our respects to those two NPCs that are now deceased. We'll get a few items along the way. First, we'll go back to Sullivus's Rise and pick up his bell bearing, and also scale his tower to get a memory stone. And there's also Blide's helmet as well. You'll have to reset the area, though. Just set it a grace, and the NPCs will die. And once you complete Ranni's quest line, Blythe will be hostile, and you'll have to kill him. And he'll be sitting right there at the entrance to Ranni's Rise. We're not going to do that in this episode because we have just too much to do in this episode. And it's already going to be over an hour long, so I didn't want to stretch it even further than I made it. But here is Sullivus. He is now dead. We'll get his armor set as well. But you can always interact with his corpse to buy more puppets. But we're going to go ahead and get a memory stone for free up here. And we'll get Blide's helmet. And just jump off right here. And now we'll go back to that NPC that we just met, and his puppets will have turned on him. We'll also get a puppet. Now, our next destination is going into this area right here. So we're going to go to the Artist's Shack in Liurnia, and we need to make our way to the area marked on the map. Now let's prep for the next encounters. You're going to want the Misericord for sure, the Glintstone Kris, your Fire Whips, and you're definitely going to want the Dagger Talisman. You're going to need some sleeping pots. I recommend at least 4 to be safe, in case you miss a throw. But the Glintstone Kris is a must for sure. Now, once we complete this next step in Ranni's quest, Rajir's quest will end. So we'll be finishing his quest in this episode as well. A lot of NPC quests are coming to an end. Rajir's, Ranni's, Blide's, and EG will all come to an end. Some of them in the next episode. We're not going to do Blide's encounter or EG in this episode. possibly in the next one. There'll be a grace ahead of us. We'll just go ahead and hit that. Now, the easiest way to get to this area without getting hit is just stay to the right. Because there's some enemies that come out of thin air and will just shoot magic spells at you. So if you stay to the right, you'll avoid all of these other enemies too, these fire monks. But you're on horseback, so it's kind of hard to get hit. But with the magic spells, it's likely. But there's some other upgrade materials on the right as well, so that's another reason we're sticking to the right. And there's also a scarab nearby that has a somber stone in it. We'll go ahead and hit that up. And there he is, running away from us. It's just a somber 3. But one less we have to purchase. Alright, so this area has 2 sections. There's the one where it's flipped and the one where it's not flipped. Both of them have sorcerers. We're just going to go ahead and do the one where we flip it because we don't need to do the other one right now. Now, there's some finger creepers as soon as you drop down here and you get into this next section here. But just using the fire whip is sufficient enough. And I like to dual wield them. Now it's time to buff because this sorcerer is a pain. If we don't take him out quickly, he's going to make our life miserable. But we'll be able to take him out with 3 shots with the Glintstone Chris. Now he'll retreat after we hit him twice, but he'll be near death and it'll be easy to take out. Just go ahead and charge up. You'll take a ton of his damage off of his health bar there. Once you hit him twice, he'll retreat. And I recommend taking out as many enemies from this point as you can so they don't give you a problem later. There's a couple of finger creepers as well. Sometimes you can't reach them from here though. An easy to miss item is right after you drop here. Just turn around and you get the Mask of Confidence. Now let's take out this annoying sorcerer. One more charged attack will take him out. The Glintstone Chris has a bit of honing ability, so even if they run around, they'll still get honed in on most of the time. Good for moving targets. A few more finger creepers along the way, but nothing to write home about. Now you'll want to drop down into the next area down here, and there'll be some rafters to get onto. But tread carefully. It's very easy to fall. There's some glint fireflies around here and some liver-proof liver, I think it's holy liver. Yeah, right there. Holy proof liver. Now on to the next section. We have to fight a boss. We fought this boss before, but we're going to do it the very easy way this time. It's a Godskin Noble. He's guarding the entrance to the tower that we need to get get the Cursed Mark of Death, which will progress Ranni's questline and end Rogier's questline. The main thing you want to have for this boss fight is the Misericord, the Dagger Talisman. You're going to need a buff. And you definitely need the sleep pots. At least 3. But I think I whiffed on one of my throws here. So having a few extra will not hurt you. Make sure to hit the grace here. I almost forgot. Now don't go too far or you'll spawn the Godskin. Now he does have a leash where he won't go too far, so you could effectively cheese him with sniping if you want, but we're going to do it a different way here. Stay right here and just start buffing. We're going to use, of course, Golden Vow and Howl of Shiburi. Now what you're really looking for is wait until he throws a fireball at you, and then that's going to make sure that if you throw a sleep pot at him, it's going to make him go to sleep. No doubt about it. So I should have thrown one right there, but I mistakenly waited just a little bit longer. So I whiffed on that first one. But we have a few extras in our pocket. Let's just throw another one. Now you definitely want to use the Royal Knight's Resolve before getting the critical. And as soon as you finish the critical, throw one at his feet. And then he'll go up into his second phase, and he'll go right back to sleep again. Another Royal Knight's Resolve, and he's near death here. We're just going to throw one more for good measure, just to make sure. We could effectively just hit him with anything at this point. And that's it. That's him done. Easiest way to take out a Godskin, for sure, is to use sleep. You'll get their armor set and entrance to the tower. Now this item that we're getting, called the Runemark of Death, will also be important for another quest line that we're going to do later. Fia's quest line, but we're not going to do that for a while. But it is necessary to have that to complete that quest. Now, I want to mention there are some sanctuary stones about, and this is an important crafting material that you'll want later on, because it will allow you to craft warming stones. Warming stones in this game are so useful. You effectively do not need healing flasks with warming stones, and on top of something else that we're going to get later, which will make your healing go super fast. But still, flasks are the fastest way to heal, but this is still a really good alternative. Now bear in mind, I'm not going to be exploring all of these areas to 100% right now. We are going to go back and comb through it like we did the Ray Lucaria Academy. We'll come back and get everything later, but I just wanted to finish Ranni's quest line, and it's so extensive. You have to go through all these areas to finish it, and I just wanted to get that done in this episode. So we'll go back through Ainsel River and the Lake of Rot and get everything later at a later time. But there are some really good things that I didn't pick up that are just absolutely going to be vital for me, and I didn't even get it in this episode. But we'll go back and we'll comb through it in a later time. But here is the Runemark of Death, and this is Ranni's real body. She killed herself to be free of her 2 fingers control. And that's why she wants the Finger Slayer Blade, to rid herself of them completely. Now, let's go finish Rajir's quest. You have to interact with him 4 times. He won't say anything, he'll just grunt. You just have to keep sitting at the grace. I'm going to edit out the other times I ran to him to save time. So, once it's over, you'll get his bell bearing and his armor set. And his quest is now complete. Now we need to go back to Ranni's Rise. And from Ranni's Rise, we need to make our way to that rise that we couldn't enter before, called Renna's Rise. The moniker that she was using initially when she met us. Some people speculate that that was the Snow Witch's name that she modeled her doll body after. But her mother was also Renala, so who knows. Avoid the dragon. You can't kill him anyway. We'll kill him at the end of this episode, though. You can only kill him in the Moonlight Altar. if you cause enough damage to him, he'll just go to the next section. So, and he's got a lot of HP. But this next area that we're going to, called Ainsel River, there are multiple ways to get to different sections. Now, you cannot get to the section that we're going to if you just go to the area in Liurny of the Lakes. Now, there is another way to get to this section, but you have to go and do Fia's quest line and get into the area where she's at. And that's a pain in the butt because you have to kill these 2 gargoyles, which I absolutely loathe. And we'll do that later, but yeah, we're going to just take the easy way, which is this way. Now, our first order of business is to collect the Ranni doll. There is a small doll right in front of us here. And this is actually Ranni herself. She's disguised herself as a miniature Ranni. This is how we're going to speak to her through the doll at a grace. Initially, she won't speak to you. You have to do it 3 times. Now let's get ready for this section. We want to go stealth first. There is an enemy that will kill you very fast. He shoots all these rocks at you and things. So we're going to try to avoid him at all costs. Now he can still see us even with the concealing veil, but the putrid corpses or mud men or whatever the hell they're called that are wandering about, they can't really see you right away if you're using concealing veil. So we're going to do that. But we're going to need the jar cannon for sure to take out this enemy that's kind of blocking our way. But just go stealth mode and low profile here. You can always roll, but we got the Crepus Vial on as well. But I find if you come over to this wall and just run as fast as you can, you won't get hit by the rocks. Now sometimes the Mudman or Putrid Corpse, whatever he's called, sometimes he'll hear you and come from behind you. That's why I got my camera turned this way. But you want to buff and just get your both arrow talismans out. You want to cause as much damage as you possibly can with your jar cannon here. And sometimes the rocks will hit you through the wall, but I haven't been hit doing it like this. So we're just going to free aim and just keep shooting. You can see the rocks are coming, but they're not hitting us. Just keep shooting until it's dead. It won't take long. And that's it. Now there's some ashes nearby, but there's also one of those Miranda sprouts or blossoms or whatever, and they cause rot to you here. So, oh no, actually madness. I think it's madness. But we're gonna retool here. We're gonna use the claw talisman and the fire scorpion charm, because I find that even though these enemies are really tanky, using your 2 flame whips here, the Giant's Red Braid and the Magma Whip Candlestick, they go down pretty fast. And we want to clear the area because we want the ghost gloveworts that are about. Still keep a low profile here. The Miranda is right there to the right. We don't want to aggro it just yet. We are going to run past it and grab a stone sword key though. I believe these are claymen. Yeah, there's the ashes right there. So yeah, these aren't putrid corpses, they're claymen. But that Miranda blossom does cause madness to you. We're just going to run past him and grab the stone sword key. We want to make sure we get all the ghost glovewort in the area. The Claymen are tanky, but with this setup, we should be able to take them out pretty easily here. But all of this ghost glovewort that we're getting, this is going to be used to level up Latenna. And pretty soon we'll be able to get her maxed out completely. By the Lake of Rot, we'll have her completely maxed out. We're going to buff just for good measure here. And with the Claw Talisman, we'll cause even more damage if we do a jumping attack. So these enemies are quite mobile. They'll roll around, kind of like the livestock. Some of the livestock that rolls around trying to avoid you. They'll do the same thing, but they're looking to attack you, though. To me, this is just a more effective, safe way of taking these guys out. Just a few more and this area will be clear, and we can go on to the next section. And we'll meet a new enemy. Ants! You gotta love your ants. These are giant ants, and they're very weak to fire. But we're going to use magic on them just because we have a long-ranged projectile here. Just a few more Claymen to take out. Ideally, you do want to come in with the jumping attack. Now we need to use our Glintstone Chris setup. So back to the magic talisman. Godfrey icon. And we'll try to get a little FP back, why not? There's a few ants up on top of the ceiling. You won't see them initially. Sometimes you can just walk in there and not see them, but we've already got one on the lock here. Now there is another ant that is very dangerous, and you'll notice him because he's got a huge head, and we'll take him out as well, but he is not to be messed with normally. Especially if there's a group of them, you'll likely die messing with them. They're very dangerous enemies. But these winged ants are pretty weak. These two right here. But there's those big giant head ants right here we're about to take out. This one right here. Try to hit him on the side because in the front he's kind of armored. Luckily, we were able to hit him in the side first. Now, there's an area down there, but we're not going to go in there just yet because it will take us to another section of Ainsel River, and we can't get back unless we go to a grace, so we're not going to deal with it right now. Another ghost glovewort here. And we'll hit the grace. We can speak to Ranni again. Now, we're only after one particular item here, and we're just going to move on. There's a lot of items in this area, but we're only after one of them. You can speak to Ranni now.
Let us speak of the past a while. I was one of the demi. Each of us was, which is when I would not. I stole, I would not. The two things and the baleful. I turned the baleful.
Now, you're going to need a lightning pot for this next section if you want your life to be easy. And so we're going to load up on lightning damage. There are these mimics that have shields in front of them, and without the lightning, it's not going to be easy to take him out. There's some magic grease behind here, I believe. There's a few Noxes along the way. Noxes are more vulnerable to holy damage, but we're not doing that right now. We have the Glintstone Crisp, which still does decent damage. Now these mimics, they will, if they have lightning aura around them, they'll kill themselves. If you destroy one of them, they'll just blow up and kill anything around in the vicinity there. You don't have to charge for these. Just one attack will kill them. And if you get a lot of them lined up, you can penetrate like we did in the first right here. You can see it goes through more than one. Now here's the tricky part. You need lightning here. And I do believe we're going to buff here. You just want to throw the lightning pots at the ones with the shield in front of them. It's the easiest way to take them out. Doesn't even matter if it hits them directly head on, it'll still kill them. This is the item we need. This will allow us to buy Ghost's Gloveworts. 4, 5, and 6. We need the 5. I didn't have the 5, so I had to purchase one because I couldn't find one out in the wild. Now we're going to deal with another enemy. These Nox have have mounts. They're riding ants, so we have to take out the mount first, and then we can do a critical on the Nox that's riding it. That's the easiest way to take them out. So you want to target the ant first. And then once the Nox has lost his mount, we can just run up to him and do a critical, and he'll be dead mostly. Sometimes he may not die all the way, unless you have the... Well, I screwed that one up. But the ideal way is to just run up on him and do a critical. Now this next area is quite precarious. There are those enemies with the shields, the mimics up there, and they will shoot long-range projectiles at you from a very long distance, and they're quite annoying. Now be careful, there are snails behind us. There's enemies all around us right now. You could just run through this section, but we're trying to do it the quote-unquote strategic way. But here's another ant with his buddy on top. We'll just take him out. And I screwed it up again. We'll get a backstab instead. There's one of them that's already shooting projectiles at us. And there's the snails coming from behind. If you stick to the right, though, the projectiles can't really hit you. He's got to actually see you to hit you. Sometimes that Nox up there on that ledge, sometimes he'll come down, but he didn't this time. He's guarding another item. We'll get that later. We just want to get to the next section. There's one more Nox riding an ant up here that's guarding the entrance to the lift that we need to take to get to the boss. Once again, just aim for the ant. A couple of glintstone taken down, and there's the critical that we were looking for. We finally got it. He's practically dead at that point. Now on to the boss. Now the boss can be quite annoying, but we've come up with an easy strategy, of course. But you're going to need a couple of things. First, you're going to need that recipe that we got from Ranni of the Lakes. What this allows us to do is craft an albinuric pot. Albinuric pots are basically Lloyd talismans from the Dark Souls series. It will not allow the enemy to heal with flasks. because this enemy will heal over and over and over again. And it got so annoying to me, I had to come up with some way to prevent the healing. And this is how you do it. We're going to talk to Ranni again before initiating the boss. But you're also going to need Darkness. Darkness is, again, one of the best spells in the game, and you'll see again why. With humanoid enemies, it is pretty much a free win. But we're going to go ahead and retool here. We need the Misericord for sure. That's really the only weapon you need. But we're also going to have the Glintstone Chris on hand. And it does come in handy for us in this boss fight at the end here. You're going to want the Dagger Talisman for absolute certainty. And we'll use the Ritual Sword Talisman. But the Albinauric Pot, you need to craft one of these. And in order to craft an Albinauric Pot, you need Albinauric Blood Clots. You can find these in abundance in the village of the Albinaurics. Just by killing a few of the Albinaurics, they'll drop one. So if you don't have one, just go there and kill a few enemies and it'll drop. There's a few basilisks along the way. We're just going to take them out just because we don't want them to mess with us while we're buffing. I have had one come from behind once and interrupt me, so better safe than sorry. Now the strategy for this boss is we buff, of course, as usual, but then we're going to get Darkness out. Make sure you're ready to cast Darkness. All you have to do is cast Darkness one time. Then you get a backstab using the Royal Knight's Resolve. And then throw the Albinauric Pot immediately. You have to hit with the Albinauric Pot. And then he'll do a backstep always. And you don't even have to use Darkness again. You just go behind him as he's trying to heal. And do another backstab. And that will take him to literally no health. And you can finish him off any way you'd like. So we're just going to buff here. Make sure you have the Misericord. Cast Darkness. Wait till he runs into it. Get behind him. Use Royal Knight's Resolve for sure. Now this is the critical part. You have to hit this pot. You have to hit him with it. Once you've hit him with it, just wait until he backsteps. And then just backstab him again, and it's practically over. We're just going to use the Glintstone Chris to finish him off. Now we're on to the Lake of Rot. The Lake of Rot is pretty much what you would expect. It's a lake full of rot. And if you do not have ways to cure rot, you might as well just turn around and go back and get some way to cure it, because you're not going to make it through this lake without it. You need either the boluses that cure rot or Flame Cleanse Me, the incantation that we got a long time ago. Without that, you're pretty much screwed. It might be possible, I'm sure it is, but the easy way is to have those incantations. And also, we're going to put on the Crimson Burst tier here, because it will give us 3 minutes of constant healing. And we need to go back to Round Table Hold so we can level up Latenna to its maximum level, which is 10. It's going to take a lot of runes to do this, so you got to have at least, I don't know how much it is, but it's a lot. So have at least 100,000 on hand before leveling up. It's pretty expensive to level up Spirit Ashes. I was quite surprised. I have over 100,000, so I should be good. But we want Latenna to plus 10. We fully maxed her out. This is going to make our life so much easier. You have no idea. This is the best range summon in the game, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to use her in the next boss fight. It's going to make things a lot easier for us. Now, before going into the lake, it's vital that you go to the Grace and allocate your flasks. You're going to need a lot of focus points, so I would go heavily on the Carian flask side. Your health isn't going to matter because we're going to use the Blessing of the Erd Tree anyway, and the Crimson Burst tier to heal ourselves. But you're going to need focus points and a lot of it. And you're going to need the jar cannon here. And you're going to need the staff that we got earlier because we're going to be casting our first sorcery. You're going to need the jellyfish shield, the glintstone kris, both arrow talismans for this first section. We're gonna go ahead and craft some fire pots, volcano pots, and the other pot that I crafted there. You can get the materials from the mountaintops of the giants. They grow everywhere, so it's not hard to find. It does more damage than the volcano pots, but you have to use ritual pots to throw them. First, we need the map. Now we're going to map out our strategy here. First section you want to go to is right here. We're going to follow that marker. But before we go there, we need a talisman that's going to help us out a little bit. You're going to need to cast Blessing of the Erd Tree right here. Now there's an enemy in the distance here. We need to take him out, but first let's get closer. So we're just going to run ahead. You're going to, as soon as Scarlet Rot procs, you're going to go ahead and cast Flame Cleanse Me to stave it off. Now, you need to kill this guy. He's going to drop a talisman that's going to help with the rot buildup. We don't need the jar cannon anymore for this section. We're going to leave that slot open because we're going to use it for this talisman that we're about to grab. And you need to keep tabs on Blessing of the Erd Tree's duration. Once it runs out, you need to cast it again or you won't survive. You have to keep casting it or use the Crimson Burst here. You have to keep healing yourself between the procs and the recastings of the Flame Cleanse Me. Once you get that talisman, we need to go ahead and equip it, but we need to get to solid ground first. Now, there's some basilisks around here. Sometimes they won't bother you, but sometimes they will. This one decided to bother me, of course. The Death Blight will build up very fast in this game, so you don't want to stand in that mist for very long. It's already over halfway full. Look at that. Oof, that was close. All right. We're going to go ahead and equip that talisman. Refill our focus points. And we need to make our way to that little structure right there where we put our mark, close to where we put that marker. But let's recast Blessing of the Erd Tree before moving on, and make sure you have Flame Cleanse Me ready to go again. You have to keep casting it over and over. And that's pretty much the gist of how to get through the Lake of Rot. You just have to make sure you keep casting Flame Cleanse Me and have some kind of health regen going on. Blessing of the Erd Tree is more than good enough, but you also have that Crimson Flask to fall back on, or the Physics Flask as well. Once we raise this platform, we're getting ready for the boss. We need Godfrey's Icon, the Magic Talisman, anything that boosts magic damage. And we're going to cast Terra Magica for the first time. This will give you 22% more damage while standing in the sigil. I thought it was 45. It used to be 35, but they nerfed it. So I'm apologize for that mistake earlier. You want to summon Latina right here. We're going to go ahead and cast our buffs. Now, when you cast Golden Vow near her, it buffs her as well. So it's always good to buff near her. Get your staff out, and as soon as you get to this platform, cast Terra Magica and start using the Glintstone Kris. It won't take long to kill him. Because not only are you doing great damage, so is Latina. And he's distracted between both of you. He doesn't stand a chance whatsoever. And that's it. You'll get another katana. This is the katana that does the Dragon Wound Grease by default, but it does not have the benefit of bleed. So an Uchi katana with bleed and Dragon Wound Grease is still going to be better. But it does a nice lightning effect called Ice Lightning, which is really cool to use though. Now we need to make our way towards this section to raise up another area. We're not going to explore this area in this episode, though. This will lead you to another Alabaster Lord, and you'll get his weapon this time upon killing him. And there's some Sombers up there as well. But right now we're just interested in getting to the Grace and nothing else. We're not even going for the recipe that allows us to craft rock pots yet, and rock grease, which is nearby. You can also craft the needed materials finally from the basilisks that spawn in this area to get the Aeonian butterflies, and they drop them at an 8% rate, and you can increase that with item discovery, which is really good. So now rot items are not hard to get anymore. Now this next section is chock full of kindred rots. We're going to deal with them very easily because they have their back to us for the most part, but there's a few stragglers that we need to take out before doing that. And there are 2 bosses ahead of us, actually 3 bosses ahead of us. 2 in this section and 1 in the last section that we're going to do in this video. But right now we need fire damage for the boss coming up. So we're using our strength and flame crystal tears. We need the jar cannon for sure, and both arrow talismans. Gonna wrap around here to get an item. Now it's important not to lose your position here, because you want to summon Lieutenant in a very particular spot here. If you drop down too far, your strategy is not going to be as effective. First, we want to take out these 2 kindreds of rot down here. A few of the glint stones will take them out. And there's another one over here that we just want to go ahead and take out as well. He'll cause us a problem later. This weapon is so damn effective. I mean, it is just so good. Now we want to summon Lieutenant on this platform. You can't get back up here, but it's important to cast and put her up here. As long as she's up there, it doesn't matter, but we can't get up there to recast, so now we need to get our jar cannon out and start buffing once we pass this pillar. Right here, you don't want to go too close. Use both buffs, and you're on a timer here because you want both of the buffs to be active while you're shooting all of these enemies. I usually just start from right to left, but you don't want to waste any time because the buff will run out. And you want to make sure all of them are dead with 1 shot. As long as you're using the regular ballista bolts, you shouldn't have a problem. You'll have to run up here, though, to take out the remaining 2. And that's it. Area clear. Now, this next section is a pain in the butt. I hate this guy. I hate this boss so much. Fire is what it's weak to, so we're using 2 fire pot varieties here. But we're also going to use Latina to help distract. That's why we positioned her in that position over there, because we're going to lure the enemy over here where she's got range to shoot the boss and distract. The boss can close distance very quickly, though. You can actually make him despawn by coming up these stairs. But up here also is a nice weapon. This does rot as well. The Scorpion Stinger. It's a dagger that does rot. Kind of similar to the Antspur Rapier, but I think this one you cannot use certain affinities on because it's a somber weapon. Now for the tricky part, like I said. Once we buff, we need to cast Blessing of the Erd Tree as well, because we have to go into rot to initiate the boss. The boss won't spawn unless we go into the rot. So it's important to cast some kind of healing over time before buffing. whether it's Blessing's Boon or Blessing of the Erd Tree, whatever you have handy. But first we're going to go ahead and get rid of this Kindred of Rot. Now we'll start buffing. Our strategy is to run away from the boss until Lieutenant starts shooting it with arrows, and then we can start throwing fire pots at it. We'll start with the ritual pots, and then we'll finish with the volcano pots. Make sure you have Flame Cleanse Me ready to go as well. You're going to need to cast it at least once here. But you can't waste too much time because the enemy's on your tail. Get your jellyfish shield out because you're going to need all the damage you could possibly get for this. I hate these enemies so much. They're just so weird the way they flail about. She's trying to fire, but she's shooting at the wall. Once she gets its attention, you'll have a few opportunities to throw some pots. She will always shoot at it, though. Now it's got its attention. We'll throw a few of our good pots at him. Does over 1,500 damage or 400 damage there. Main thing is to just keep your distance and throw pots. Keep throwing those fire pots, and it should be over pretty quickly. Lieutenant does the best distraction for here. And that's it. If you thought Lieutenant was useful now, just wait till the next boss fight. We're practically just going to let her do most of the damage, but we are still going to shoot it from a distance with the jar cannon. The jar cannon is the only weapon you need for this fight, but you must do it strategically. You can't just go willy-nilly and start firing on this boss because the reload animation for the jar cannon is very slow. You have to be very cautious when you pick your chances to shoot. But we need both arrow talismans here. Now we need to wait until we go through the fog wall before buffing because we want Golden Vow to be active on Lieutenant. The main thing is you have to know when it's safe to attack. Lock on to the enemy immediately, but wait. Wait for the attack. You'll see its pinchers move slightly before it fires. That's your cue to start rolling. You need to summon Lieutenant and then do Golden Vow and then wait again. You cannot do multiple buffs right now. I'm not sure if this is going to help buff her or not, but I used it anyway. You have to watch for its tail too. But this is the main attack. And also we're going to cast Blessing of the Erd Tree so Lieutenant can regenerate as well. Because the enemy is going to be focused on her for the most part. Now, it's safe to fire when you know that it's aiming at her and not you. Or it's retracting its tail. Or right after it's fired a beam shot. But don't go for more than 2 shots at a time. It takes too long to reload. And our vigor's too low to take a hit. Now this is very easy to avoid. Just start rolling side to side or close to this area right here. I've never really taken a hit from this. You're pretty much just going to stay next to Lieutenant the whole time. Just back and forth. You're going to get your shots in when you can. And this is pretty much it. You're just waiting for your chance to shoot. But you got to watch for that tail, though. I'm telling you. That tail is kind of your main threat, really. It was going after her, luckily, not us. If it's retracting, you can try to shoot. You just have to be very cautious when shooting. And there we go. Kill shot. You'll get a lot of runes for this one, so make sure you pop a gold pickle foulfoot and have the golden scarab equipped. Now we need to kill one more boss. This is a pretty tricky dragon, I must say, but Lieutenant's going to help us out as a distraction again. Now, we cannot progress until we get an item. So we have to go back to where we fought Rennala in Re Lucaria, the Grand Library. That discarded key that we got after we killed the boss just before the Lake of Rot will allow us to open the chest. Without this item, we cannot progress, so we have to go get it. So just go back to the Grand Library in Re Lucaria. This is basically a wedding band. We're actually going to propose to her, I guess. The Dark Moon Ring. We need this. And we'll go back. And we have to take out this dragon. This dragon is a pain in the butt. It's actually a pretty difficult dragon fight. But luckily we have Latina now, and we can use her as a distraction. But this enemy has an attack that's very hard to avoid. I really don't have a strategy for avoiding it, really. I just try to kill the dragon as fast as I possibly can and hope it doesn't do that specific attack. I think if you run into the building, you might be able to avoid it. We're going to use Torrent again, of course, as we do with all dragon fights if we can. And our main setup is before the Lance Talisman, the Blood Exaltation Talisman, and Stamina. So we're going to go ahead and redo our Physics Flask before taking on the dragon. Stamina is best, so we're going to use both of our Staminas tiers here. Again, we're just going to use a regular Uchi Katana. Lance Talisman, like I said. Blood Exaltation. And I'm going to go with the Green Turtle Talisman as well. But I do want the Golden Scarab just to get maximum runes, because this boss will give you a lot of runes. So the way I come up with this strategy is we're just going to use Latina, but I like to keep her at a certain spot here. I like to place her right here. And buff it again. We need the Dragon Wound Grease. I should have put this on before. We're wasting valuable time with our buffs. So have that ready already. Just wail on his legs again. If you see the camera start to change, just run away. Might be able to get 6 swipes in before you have to move for the first time. I took some damage there, but Torrent took most of it. I didn't take any damage. Sometimes Torrent will take the damage for you. Again, it looks like Torrent's almost been dismounted, though. We'll be dismounted if we get hit again. We got lucky in this one because he didn't do that attack. We were able to get a headshot there to finish him off. And we'll get a lot of runes for this one, too. We're up to over 400,000 runes now. There's a lot of Starlight Shards about as well. So if you need to purchase any puppets, you definitely have it here. The currency is all over the place. There are no more enemies in this area. Just collect your starlight shards, get the grace, and then we'll go propose to Ranni. I usually skip cutscenes, but I'll let this one play out.
So it was perhaps I am pleased. I go now. I bid thee, and one soul.
Before leaving, make sure you get the Dark Moon Greatsword. Now we're going to go back to Round Table Hold and collect an item from the boss that we just killed. It's a magic flail. We'll take that magic flail instead of the spell. The Bastard Stars. Alright guys, that's it. I know this was a long one. I'll see you guys in the next one.